And so, our journey aboard the Titanic draws gently to a close. We have wandered the quiet corridors below decks, feeling the rhythm of life in hidden spaces where steam, sweat, and steady hands kept the great ship moving ever forward. We have lingered for a time with Violet Jessup, her calm presence, a quiet thread through moments of uncertainty. Is her life a testament to the quiet strength of ordinary people? We have drifted far below the surface, the silent resting place where Titanic sleeps beneath the waves, a world of shadows and memories, where time moves in slow and patient circles. And at last, we have basked in the glow of a grand saloon, sharing in the repetition and ritual of luxury, where the soft cadence of music and laughter soothes away all thought of the outside world. Throughout it all, the Titanic has become not just a story of loss or legend, but a place of space shaped by countless hands, quiet labor, and the comforting rhythm of daily life. Above all, it is a reminder that history's true power lies in these gentle repetitions, the folding of linen, tasting of brass, the sharing of meals, the steady step from one moment to the next. Okay, as you lie here now, letting your breath settle and your thoughts drift, remember that the world of the past is never as distant as it may seem. Every moment of calm, every comforting repetition is a quiet echo of lives once lived and dreams once dreamt, even in the depths of the Atlantic. Even in the hush of midnight corridors, allow yourself now to slip deeper into rest. Let the gentle thrum of engines and the soft glow of candlelight lull you further into sleep, knowing that you are carried always on the enduring rhythms of comfort and care. Thank you for joining this gentle voyage tonight. May the peace of the past and the soft silence of the sea stay with you as you drift off, safe, warm, and at ease. Good evening. Tonight, I invite you to settle into the quiet comfort of your surroundings, to let the rhythm of your breath become steady and slow. As we journey together through time back to the gentle hum and distant echoes of a world now lost beneath the waves, you are about to step into a different pace of life, a world marked by the hush of midnight corridors and the distant pulse of pistons in the dark. This is not the world of grand adventure or dazzling excitement. This is the world of steady hands, patient routines, and unseen labor, the world below decks on the RMS Titanic. Tonight, we won't linger on tragedy or dwell on the stormy seas of fate. Instead, we will slip quietly through the service corridors, listen to the soft clatter of porcelain and the muffled thrum of engines, and rest a while in a gentle repetition of days gone by. We will begin by imagining yourself as a servant aboard the Titanic. From there, we will gently move through the remarkable story of a stewardess who saw the unsinkable ship both rise and fall. Later, we will explore the silent, mysterious rediscovery of the wreck itself, a moment of deep wonder, far removed from the chaos of its last night. Finally, we will surface in the candlelit splendor of the Grand Saloon, where privilege and luxury offer a calm, contrasting world above the decks. So, if you're ready, allow your eyes to grow heavy and your thoughts to drift. The ship's gentle rocking is beneath your feet. You are far from shore now and far from worry. Let us begin with life below deck. Imagine yourself waking before dawn. In the deep belly of the Titanic, a place far from the grand staircase and glittering chandeliers. The world here is a narrow berth, softly swaying. The air is thick with the mingled scents of polished wood, warm linen, and a faint undercurrent of coal smoke that seems to drift in from everywhere and nowhere at once. You are a servant, a steward perhaps, or a scullery maid, or one of the many porters who keep the ship's endless routines flowing smoothly, day after day, hour after hour. Your day begins with the quiet rustling of uniforms and aprons, with the muffled sounds of boots on iron stairways and the distant, constant throb of the ship's engines, steady as a heartbeat, always present, even in your dreams. The routine is unhurried, methodical. You slip from your bunk and wash your face in cold water, the basin tiny, the soap nearly scentless. There is a comfort to these small rituals, the neat folding of your apron, the careful shining of shoes, the tying of your collar just so. In the early morning, there is no grandeur, only the quiet camaraderie of others like you, moving silently, each with their own small burdens and hopes. Below decks, the light is always a little dim. Electric bulbs cast a soft yellow glow over the passageways, making the polished brass and copper fittings gleam. There is always the low hum of machinery, the engines turning somewhere far beneath, the pumps drawing water, the ventilation fans whispering in their unseen spaces. Cute, you make your way through the maze of corridors, past the quarters of other servants. Cute, through pantries where the scent of fresh bread mingles with the faint sharpness of polish and soap. There are no windows here, only the occasional porthole showing a dark slice of ocean and sky. Your tasks are many, but they follow a gentle rhythm. Some days, you polish silverware and arrange place settings for passengers you will never meet. Other days, you change sheets, the linen cool and crisp, smoothing away the small wrinkles of another night's rest. You bring tea and toast to cabins, careful not to spill a drop, moving quietly so as not to wake the sleepers. The ship's vast size is a kind of comfort, so many spaces to move through, so many nooks and alcoves where you can pause for a breath, just out of sight. The other servants become your world names and faces you learn by candlelight, shared stories whispered after midnight, laughter that echoes down the steel-lined halls. Meals are simple and eaten quickly. In the servants' dining room, you gather at long tables with your fellows. There is the clatter of tin cups and the steady scrape of knives on thick bread. The food is plain but filling porridge in the morning, stew at midday, and the occasional treat if someone has managed to squirrel away a little extra from the kitchens above. Work goes on all day, and every day is much the same. There is comfort in repetition, cleaning, folding, serving, fetching, and returning. The work is hard, but it is honest, and there is a quiet pride in tasks well done. Every so often, you catch a glimpse of life above, perhaps while polishing the brass banisters on a staircase. You see the hem of a lady's dress, or hear the laughter of children at play. But mostly, your world is here, below deck, where the air is warm, and the work never truly ends. Sometimes, in the late hours, when your tasks are finished and the ship is quiet, you find yourself by a small porthole, watching the endless dark of the Atlantic slip by. The stars seem impossibly far away. There is a hush here, a sense of being carried of, floating between worlds, neither truly above nor below, just part of the endless rhythm of the ship. The days pass in gentle repetition, steam and sweat, soap and silver, footsteps in the corridor, and the distant chime of the ship's bell. You fall asleep to the low hum of engines, and wake to the soft tread of feet in the passageway, the routine beginning again. This is the world below decks on the Titanic and scene, uncelebrated, yet quietly essential to the ship's grand journey. As you rest in this steady rhythm, let us quietly move now from the many hands at work below to the story of one remarkable stewardess. Its journey aboard the Titanic would become a legend in itself. Now, as the gentle murmur of the ship fades into the background, allow your attention to drift from the anonymous routines of service to the quiet persistence of a single life woven through Titanic Astoria life, as remarkable for its steadiness as for its proximity to history's tides. Imagine, if you will, the measured footsteps of Violet Jessup as she begins her day aboard Titanic. You may not know her name, but in the labyrinth of corridors and cabins, she is known for her composure, her practical kindness, and her careful attention to detail. Violet is a stewardess, a woman entrusted with the comfort and safety of first-class passengers. Her role is both humble and dignified, one that demands grace and endurance in equal measure. She rises early, always before sunrise, her routine as familiar as the ticking of a clock. There is the brushing of her uniform, the pinning of her hair, The brief moment she allows herself to close her eyes and breathe in the stillness before the day begins. As she moves through the corridors, her steps are soft, measured, always attentive to the needs of those she serves. For Violet, the world of Titanic is a place of careful balance. The demands of wealthy travelers, delivered with a gentle nod or an impatient glance, are met with a calm smile. She is often the first face a passenger sees in the morning, offering a polite greeting, perhaps a word of encouragement to a nervous traveler. Her hands are skilled quick to make a bed, to fold a towel just so, to steady a cup of tea as the ship sways gently beneath her feet. Violet's journey to the Titanic was not by chance. Before stepping onto this grandest of liners, she had already lived through the subtle turbulence of a changing world. Born in Argentina to Irish immigrants, Violet moved to England after her father's passing. She took work where she could find it first as a governess, then as a ship's stewardess, rising quietly through the ranks of a profession that, in its way, demanded more courage than most. In the years before Titanic, she served aboard the Olympic, Titanic's older sister, enduring the constant motion of the sea, the demanding hours, and the company of strangers from every corner of the globe. She had learned, with time, to remain calm even when the ship listed in a storm or the passengers quarreled over small comforts. She knew the routines of the White Star Line by heart, the formalities, the expectations, the silent hierarchy that governed the world of service at sea. Yet, even Violet could not have anticipated what would unfold on the night of April 14th, 1912. The air that evening was cold and still, the sky brilliant with stars. Violet was in her cabin, resting after a long day, when she heard the distant, jarring sound that was at once subtle and unmistakable. The ship shuddered, slowed, and then, almost imperceptibly, began to tilt. In the hours that followed, Violet moved as she always had, calmly, deliberately, with a quiet sense of duty. She gathered her passengers, soothed their anxieties, and guided them through the corridors towards the lifeboats. She wrapped children in blankets, offered words of reassurance, and remained at her post until her own presence was requested. Her memories of that night are marked by a kind of gentle clarity, the way the ship S-lights glowed against the dark. The quiet resolve of the crew, the distant creak of the ship as it settled deeper into the water. Violet was eventually directed to Lifeboat 16. She climbed aboard, her breath misty in the cold night air. There were cries in the distance, the rhythmic splash of oars, the hush of the sea. She remembers, later, how she comforted a child handed to her for safekeeping, wrapping the little one in her arms as the boat drifted away from the ship's lights, growing smaller and smaller in the darkness. When rescue came with the dawn, Violet resumed her duties. There were survivors to comfort, children to reunite, the lost to account for. She did all this with the same steady calm that had carried her through the teens of daily life, her strength lying not in heroics, but in the quiet endurance of service. Yet Titanic was not the end of Violet's story. Remarkably, she would go on to survive not just the sinking of the Titanic, but to other shipwrecks, the Olympic, which was damaged in a collision, and the Britannic, which struck a mine and sank during the First World War. In each case, Violet remained composed, guiding others to safety, embodying a kind of resilience that was as gentle as it was unbreakable. Later in life, Violet would retire to the English countryside. She kept the memories of those nights close, but she seldom spoke of them in public. When she did, it was with the same calm detachment, simple acknowledgement of having been there, having endured, and having carried on. Her story is not one of fame or drama, but of quiet fortitude, lived in the spaces between the grand events of history. She reminds us that, for every great story told, there are countless more lived quietly in the shadows by those whose steady presence makes the world possible. As you reflect on Violet's journey, allow yourself to drift gently onward, Let us now move from the world of memory and survival to the silent wonder of discovery where the Titanic herself slumbers beneath the waves, and where her secrets have only slowly come to light. Now, as the echoes of Violet Jessup's gentle resilience fade softly into memory, allow yourself to drift even deeper past the surface of the sea, past the passage of Tormental, a world of quiet mystery and silent exploration. It is the mid-1980s. The world above has long since moved on from the Titanic's last voyage. Generations have come and gone. The story of the ship has become a legend, shrouded in myth and memory. The location of the wreck itself remains unknown, its final resting place a riddle waiting patiently beneath the waves. Imagine, if you will, the immense, quiet expanse of the North Atlantic. The water here is impossibly cold and darker, vast plain of blue and black, stretching endlessly in every direction. At the surface, there is wind and waves and the distant call of seabirds. Far below, in the deep silence where sunlight cannot reach, the Titanic rests. Decades have passed since you last saw the sky. Down here, the world moves slowly. Layers of silt and salt have softened the sharp edges. Iron has rusted into delicate, lace-like formations. The grand staircase, once gleaming with polished oak and brass, is now home to drifting motes of dust and the slow, patient work of the sea. Life, such as it is, moves gently across the wreck. Strange, pale creatures drift in and out of shadow. Tiny crabs and sea worms have found a home among the ruins, their lives a quiet echo of the ship's own vanished rhythms. For many years, people wondered if the Titanic would ever be found at all. The ocean is vast, and its secrets are closely kept. Countless expeditions came and went, charting the cold depths, hoping for a sign, one small clue among miles of empty water. In September 1985, that long search finally ended. A team led by Robert Ballard, working with French scientists, used new technology to scan the seafloor. They sent unmanned cameras called Argo down into the blackness, guiding them by a slender tether of cable and hope. The work was painstaking and slow. Night after night, images flickered on monitors above. Mud, rocks, odd shadows, the occasional flash of movement. Then, one night, the camera captured something different. Kay's shape emerged in the dim glow of the submersible's lights, an enormous, unmistakable boiler. The Titanic had been found nearly 12,500 feet beneath the surface. Kay, resting where she had come to rest so long ago. There was no fanfare, no celebration, only a quiet moment of awe, as those watching realized what they were seeing. The ship's bow loomed out of the darkness, half buried in silt, her railings twisted and worn, but still recognizably herself. The rediscovery of Titanic was not an act of conquest, but one of reverence and careful curiosity. Over the weeks that followed, Ballard's team sent small robotic submarines down to the wreck, their cameras moving slowly over the decks, capturing silent images of a world preserved by darkness and cold. What they found was both beautiful and haunting. There were porcelain plates stacked neatly where they had fallen, shoes lying side by side in the mud-silent reminders of lives once lived. A tangle of wrought iron, the gentle curve of a handrail, the outlines of staterooms where laughter and music had once echoed. The explorers moved gently, careful not to disturb the silence. Their voices, when they spoke, were hushed almost reverential, as if entering a sacred space. There were no skeletons here, only the quiet testimony of things left behind. Luggage, cutlery, fragments of wallpaper, a child's forgotten toy. Each artifact told its own small story, part of the endless tapestry of memory woven into the ship's bones. The world was captivated by the images that followed. For the first time, people could see the Titanic as she was now, not just as a tale of loss, but as a place, a reality, an enduring presence in the deep. The light of the submersibles drifted over the grand staircase, now a shadowy outline across the empty ballroom through the open doorways of cabins where time had finally come to rest. There was, in the rediscovery, a sense of peace. No one spoke loudly, no one rushed, but the work was slow, methodical, just as it had been in the ship's own time. The rhythm of the ocean set the pace, and those who visited the wreck left with a sense of humility, an awareness of the passage of years, and the endurance of quiet things. In the years since, the Titanic has been visited many times. Artifacts have been recovered and preserved, cooled. New technologies have brought clearer images, new insights. But the site itself remains, in many ways, untouched, a memorial to all that was lost and all that persists beneath the waves. Imagine, for a moment, the stillness down there, the slow drift of silt, the distant, muffled sound of your own breathing carried through the hull of a submersible. It is a place for reflection, not excitement, a place where the past is held gently in the cool embrace of the sea, and where the rhythm of time slows to a gentle pulse. Let us gently return now from the depths, scurried softly upward through layers of silence, through the ship's sleeping decks until we emerge once more into the world of light, music, and warmth. In our final segment tonight, we will step from shadow into splendor. Let us visit the Grand Saloon where, for a few, the Titanic's journey was all elegance, and the rhythms of daily life took on a very different form. Let us ascend now, gently and without hurry, through the winding stairways and polished corridors of the Titanic, rising from the hidden, humming heart of the ship to its crowning glory, the world above deck. Here, the air is lighter, tinged with faint perfume and the soft rustle of expensive fabrics. The hum of engines fades, replaced by the low murmur of polite conversation and the distant strains of music. You find yourself outside the doors of the Grand Saloon. It's the most celebrated dining room on the ship, a space dedicated not only to nourishment, but to display, its ritual, and the reassuring repetition of luxury. Imagine stepping into the saloon as dusk settles over the Atlantic. Soft pools of golden lights spill from crystal chandeliers. The tables stretch in neat lines beneath the ceiling of carved and painted wood, gleaming with the reflection of hundreds of candles and polished silver. The air carries a gentle blend of aromas, fresh flowers, delicate sauces, the sweet steam of fresh bread. The subtle tang of the sea just outside the windows. White-gloved waiters move with quiet precision, setting down courses with a silent nod, their uniforms starched and perfect, their faces calm and nearly anonymous. For the first-class passengers, dinner is a daily ritual, a gentle punctuation to the flow of hours at sea. You take your place among them, letting the rhythm of conversation and ceremony wash over you. Around you, the elite of two continents discuss the news, reminisce about Paris or New York, and speculate quietly about the adventures that await in America. The meal itself unfolds in measured, graceful stages. There are oysters to begin, cool and briny, served on delicate china. Then, perhaps, so clear you can see the gleam of the spoon at the bottom of the bowl. Fish follows soft, flaky, dressed with a whisper of herbs, then a tender roast with crisp potatoes, all served in portions that are generous but never hurried. Each course is announced with a gentle flourish, and conversation pauses only long enough to admire the artistry of the next dish. Wine glasses are refilled without a word, the sound of pouring barely a whisper amid the silver and crystal. In the background, a string quartet plays, the music weaving softly between tables, lulling the guests into a state of gentle contentment. In the Grand Saloon, the world outside is distant. The cold Atlantic night is kept at bay by thick glass and layers of warmth and light. The concerns of the journey, the uncertainty of travel, the hard work of those below decks softened, rendered almost invisible by the soft glow of privilege. Yet, even in this world of abundance, there is a comforting repetition, the order of the courses, the cadence of polite laughter, the soothing familiarity of old stories told once again over dessert. Hey, it is a place designed for leisure and repose, where time itself seems to slow, as if responding to the gentle rhythm of the ship between courses. You might glance around the room and notice the details that make this world unique. The elaborate centerpieces, each different and seasonal. The uniforms of the staff, every crease and button exactly as prescribed. The careful etiquette, the gentle reminders that here every guest is meant to feel both special and at home. Here, as dessert, arrives a delicate pudding, perhaps, or a plate of fruit. There is a sense of quiet closure. Coffee and tea are served, and the music continues, but the conversation grows softer, more contemplative. Some guests slip away to the smoking room or the promenade deck, leaving behind only the faint echo of laughter and the lingering warmth of the evening. Outside, the sea is dark and infinite, the stars bright above. But here, in the grand saloon, there is only comfort and ceremony, the reassuring repetition of a world apart from the ordinary, a world built on gentle luxury and the soft passage of time. As the evening draws to a close, the guests retire to their cabins, guided by the gentle hands of staff, there waylit by soft lamps in the hush of late hours. The grand saloon empties slowly, its tables cleared and its lights dimmed, but the sense of peaceful order remains, echoing in the silence long after the last guest has gone. Allow yourself to linger in this quiet world where time slows and every care is eased away by the rhythm of soft voices, candlelight, and the endless lull of the sea. Soon we will leave Titanic behind, but for now, let us pause in this gentle stillness, savoring the luxury of calm and the comfort of routine.